Good evening, everyone. This is Daniel AG. I'm here with a video on how to install SQL Server 2019. If you have already registered for my SQL Server training, you should have received an email from me explaining how to install SQL Server 2019 and the location of the download file, etc. If you haven't joined my SQL Server DBA training, so this is actually the link from where you can download the SQL Server 2019 installation files. I'm going to share this link in the comment section of this YouTube video. And if you are having some questions before installation, or if you have some difficulty installing SQL Server, this is the email address you can reach out to me, or this is my cell phone number. This cell phone number is same as my WhatsApp number. I'm very active in WhatsApp too. And also you can check my web if you are interested in any of my training programs, SQL Server and Microsoft Azure training program. This is on my website. You can check it out. And then if you're interested, submit your contact information there, or email me or call me directly. Okay, so let's get started. So there are a couple of ways you can install SQL Server. So I am using two files here. I mean, you can use ISO file to mount the ISO file and install it, but I'm not going to take that route. So I'm using the cap method. So we need to have two files for SQL Server 2019 installation and one file for SQL Server Management Studio. So this is what my OneDrive link is. This is a link which I'm going to share. I'm going to put that underneath the video. So you click on that link, that will take you to my OneDrive link, OneDrive folder. And in this folder, you can see there are three files. The first two files, 1.38 GB and 153 kilobyte. These two files are for SQL installation, and the last one, which is SSMS setup, that is 640 MB file, that is for SQL Server Management Studio installation. So this Management Studio is version 18.8, which is the latest as of now. Okay. So what you need to do is that, first of all, you need to download these three files into your local machine. The best way you can do that is you can right click on it, on each file, or you can see when you mouse over, you can see three dots here. Click on it and then you can individually download it. So let's try to do that. So click on download. You can download three files at the same time. So I'm going to do one by one. Download. Second file download process started. The first file is 1.3 GB, so it's going to take a little bit time. And then I started downloading the last one too, so you can see the download is progressing. So I'm going to post my video for now. Once we complete the download, we will continue. Okay. All right, so I'm back. So it looks like the three files are successfully downloaded. So this most likely going to be downloaded to your default download folder. So let's go and take a look. So go to the download folder, and you can see these three files are downloaded. Okay. So what I normally do is that instead of extracting the file here in the download folder, what I prefer to do that is I'm going to select all these three files, right click, and then copy. And then I'm going to go to the C drive, and I'm going to create a separate SQL Server 2019 installation folder, because I want to throw all those files in a single folder. So SQL Server 2019, I would say installation. All right, so you can actually create this folder upfront, but I just created it, and then right click, and then I'm pasting all the three files I just copied. So all the three files are in this SQL Server 2019 installation. So these two files are the cap files. So we need to create the corresponding SQL Server binary files. So it's very simple. So if you look at here, you can see that one file type is application, the other one is box file. Okay, so you need to right click on this application with size of 153 kilobyte, right click on it, and then say run as administrator. So it is going to ask a location where the extracted file is going to be. You don't need to change that. Click OK here. Now you can see that while it's extracting, it is creating a folder up here at the top. So that's a folder where the files are going to be extracted. So the files are extracted, and then it is going to automatically start this SQL Server installation window automatically. But if you don't see that, this particular pop-up window automatically, what you can manually start it. So you go inside this folder. So inside this folder, this is what the SQL Server installation binary files. If you are trying to install SQL Server 2019 from an ISO file or from a DVD drive, this is what you are going to see. Okay, so the actual installation file for SQL Server 2019 is this setup file with a green icon here. So you right click on, there are two setup files. Okay, don't get confused. So the one with the green icon, that's the one, the file size of 124 kilobyte. That's the one you need to run. So you right click on that file and then say run as an administrator. Make sure that you say run as an administrator. Don't just double click on it. You need to run it as an administrator. So now it opened that SQL Server Installation Center. So we are going to do, I'm going to just maximize that window, and we are going to do the complete SQL Server 2019 installation using this SQL Server Installation Center. So you can see there are a couple of options on the left-hand side. So the one which you need to select is the installation. Click on the installation here. And then when you click on the installation, you can see the right hand side pane is actually changing. So you need to click on the first blue link here saying new SQL Server standalone installation or add features to an existing instance. So the first blue link, that is the one you need to click. All right, so it opened a window. So if you're, it all depends on how fast your computer is. Sometimes this might take a little bit time, but be patient. So it is asking, hey, what version of SQL Server you are trying to install? So there is evaluation version, developer version. I'm going for developer version, which is nothing but an enterprise version. And the trial version is also the same, but the thing is that trial version is only valid for 6 months. So we are going for developer edition, which is same as enterprise, but you cannot use it on a production environment, but you can do testing, learning, training, and development work on this particular environment. Okay. Now, if you are having a product key from your office, you can click on here and then enter the product key. But we are going for the free version of developer edition. Now click on next. If you have time, you can read through these terms and conditions. I'm going to click on I accept the license terms. Click next. So in this window, it is actually doing some setup files. It is checking the status, and then if any set of files need to be installed before it starts the SQL installation, this is the window, and then successfully completed, and then waiting for another pop-up. Okay, here you go. So this is what the status of that installation, and I'm expecting everyone seeing a green tick mark here. There is only a yellow warning sign. This is not an error. So Windows firewall, you can just ignore it. Okay, no, you don't need to worry about it. But just in case if any of this green tick mark came out as red into mark, then click on the corresponding blue link here. It's going to give you information what went wrong or what need to be fixed. If you couldn't able to recognize, couldn't able to fix it, then email me or call me, and I will help you out. And then you can also get a detailed report. If you click on the view detailed report, it is going to show you a detailed report. What are the things it actually checked behind the scene, and what are the things it's installed, in case if you want to take a look. But in our case, everything is good. So if you have some issues, you fixed it, you don't need to start over again. Once you fix whatever the issue is, you can click on this rerun. But again, in our case, everything went well. So we are going to go for the next, click on the next button. All right, so when you're installing SQL Server is a list of components. So if you look at the list of features, I would say. So if you look at the left-hand side, you can see these are the various features. Okay, each feature is actually indicated next to a checkbox. So you can click on select all. So when you click on select all, you are selecting all the features, which is good. But what I want is that I want to uncheck two of them here, Polybase and then the machine learning, and there is another machine learning at the top. So these two, machine learning and the polybase, is what you need to uncheck. We will install, because if you guys go and include this, I mean, you need to also install things like JRE and all those things, which is going to be, I don't want you to do that now, but we will, as we move on with the training program, we will install JRE and then come back and install these features. For now, we don't need that, so I'm going to uncheck that, but anytime we can go back and add these additional features. All right, so if you look at here, there are two types of features. One is the instance features and the shared features. If you already have SQL Server installed, 2019 installed, some of these shared features will be come up as a gray, because the shared features are installed only once in a machine, and then second instance onwards, you don't need that. If you are installing SQL Server 2019 for the first time, well, you will see that you need to check these check boxes, which already selected when you click on the select all. So this, if you are, these are the check boxes you selected, then we are good. And this is the location where it is going to be installed. And the three things SQL Engine need pre-installed for SQL Server 2019 installation. One is Windows PowerShell 3.0, which comes default with Windows 10. Then Visual Studio C++ 2017 redistributable. That also comes with Windows 10. If not, it is going to automatically install it for you. So, and then Visual Studio Tool for Application 2017. So this is also already installed. And how much space it need to install SQL Server 2019? So it need around 3 GB space for installing SQL Server. So that is also been validated. So the only thing we need to do is that click on the next. So when you're installing SQL Server, you need to provide a name for the instance. The name has to be unique. So you can either go for default instance. I wouldn't recommend that. So I'm going for a named instance. So click on this named instance, and here you can enter the name for the instance. So I'm going to say this instance name is production or prod 5000. Okay. Now, after that, click on this instance ID text box. You can see that whatever named instance whatever the instance name you provided, that is already copied over to the instance ID as well. Now I'm going to, and then you can see that this is the default directory where the SQL Server and SSIS SQL Server Analysis Service is going to be by default installed. And we will be talking more on this directory and the directory structure, etc. when you come in for the DBA TSQL training program. All right, so I'm going to click on next. All right. So when you are installing SQL Server, behind the scene, you are installing the SQL Server features are nothing but services running on top of Windows operating system. So these are the services as part of this SQL Server installation, 2019 installation. Behind the scene, you are installing these many services. You don't need to worry about it. But only change you need to make here is for SQL Server agent at the top, towards the right hand side, you can see this drop down. Change that to automatic. So this is for your convenient purpose. I prefer you change that to automatic. We will see why at later point, but make sure that you change that to automatic. Rest of the settings, keep it like that. Click next. All right. So I don't know how many of you noticed, actually, we are actually going through each of this step. Right now, we are in the database engine configuration. The previous steps, these are the previous steps we completed. All right, so this is a very important screen. So this also, the first thing is that how you want to log into your instance after the installation completes. There are two options, Windows authentication and mixed mode. I'm going for mixed mode. And when you go for the mixed mode, you need to enter a password and provide a password which you can remember. Okay, you entered that and then confirm the password. And the most important step here is you need to remember this password And not only that, you click on the add current user. So click on the add current user. It is going to take a little bit time to add your current Windows login as a valid login to this SQL Server instance. If you miss this step, if you forgot to click on this add current user, you might have difficulty logging into that instance after the installation is completed. So you can see that my login, Windows login, is added as a administrator to this SQL Server instance. We will talk about more of this, like what is this authentication mode, the dual authentication mode, why we need to add this SQL Server administrator, why to add the Windows user login as an administrator. Those things we will talk about it when we cover the security architecture of SQL Server in the training program. So right now I'm going to click on the next here. Oh, by the way, before I go for the next, I just want to give you some brief idea what these tabs are. You can see various tabs. So if you click on the, right now we are in the server configuration tab, but click on the data directory. So this is the directory, default directory where various things are going to be installed during this installation. Now, TempDB, this is a new feature introduced in 2016. You can, if you are familiar with TempDB, well, this is a place where you can predefine how many data files needed, etc. But if you are new to SQL Server, just don't need to worry about it. Then MaxDOP is here you can specify how many CPUs you want to use for this particular instance. Right now I have 8 CPUs. By default, it is going to use all the 8. But if you want to put a restriction out of 8 CPU, I only want to use 6 of them for this particular instance. This is a place where you can do that. Again, if you don't do it here, no worries. You can always go back and change it later. This is a new feature in 2019. Okay, setting the max stop or the maximum number of memory, the maximum number of CPU at the configuration side. Normally, prior to SQL Server 2019, you install it and then later you go back and change it as you need. Same thing with memory. From 2019 onwards, you can specify the maximum amount of memory at the time of the installation. Prior to 2019, you could able to go and change it after the installation is done. File stream is a topic we will be discussing in the training program. So if you want, you can enable now, or again, you can go and enable it later point. So you don't need to make any changes to these tabs. Okay, just want to give you an introduction. What is the purpose of this tab? And then the 2 tabs new to 2019 is MaxDOP and memory. All right, so let's continue. Click on next. So we completed the database engine configuration. Now we are on the SQL Server analysis services. I don't know how many of you noticed, when you click on that select all, that also include SQL Server analysis service installation. So we are not going to make any configuration changes here. We click on add current user to our SSAS feature. So it is actually adding your current Windows login as a valid administrator to the SSAS tabular mode. It has been added. It takes some time, so you need to be patient here. So once you see your Windows login is added here, now you can proceed. Click on next. And this is SQL Server integration service configuration. No further changes needed. We will reconfigure this in the DBA training program. So I'm going to click on next here. Next. Distribution repair controller. No changes here. Next. And finally, we are in the ready to install. So what we did so far is we given through this SQL Server 2019 setup window, we provided all the configuration we want for this instance. This is going to give us a summary of, what is the configuration we are trying to install for 2019. Okay. Now, the installation is going to start when you click on the install button. That's when the installation is going to start. So let me click on install. So you can see that it started the installation. So it depends on your machine's muscle power. It can take anywhere from 15 minutes to 45 minutes. So I'm going to post my video here. And once the installation completes, I will come back. Please stay tuned. All right, guys, I am back. So the installation is completed. The good news is installation successfully completed. How do I know? You can see that all this green tick mark, right? So this is what you are supposed to see. You need to see all this green tick mark. But in case if you see a red into mark, that means that particular feature did not install properly. If you see that, either you can troubleshoot, or what I would recommend is that you send me a screenshot of whichever one with the error, and then you can see that at the bottom there is a blue link. So this is going to give us a log on the SQL Server installation. So go to this directory and then send me an email attaching this particular log. So a screenshot and an attachment, log attachment to my email, definitely going to help me out, what went wrong and how to troubleshoot and how to fix it. Okay, you can email me or give me a call. I mean, I already mentioned my email address, so this is what my email address is. This is my phone number. You can also send me a WhatsApp screenshot. This is my WhatsApp number as well, and this is my website address. All right, so let's continue. So since everything is successfully installed, so I'm going to close this. All right, so the installation is completed. You can actually close this SQL Server Installation Center. We don't need that anymore. So click on the close and we are good. Now let's go back to the C drive, the SQL Server 2019 installation. And the next step is that we need to install SQL Server Management Studio. So what is the SQL Server Management Studio? Management Studio is a tool provided by Microsoft to connect to the SQL Server instance you install. You cannot directly go to the instance. You need to use a tool for that. You can also use command lines, but I don't want to get into that now. So we need to install SQL Server Management Studio. I'm assuming that you already downloaded this SSMS, and the file size is, you can keep a note on that. So this SSMS is 18.8 version, which is the latest and greatest as of today. So I'm going to right click on it and then again run as an administrator. Give it some time to load the installation file. All right, so you can see that release 18.8. So SQL Server Management Studio with Azure Data Studio. We will talk about what an Azure Data Studio is, in the class. So I'm going to click on install. And this installation also sometime take a lot of time. So I'm going to post the video. I will come back once it is done. Thank you. Please stay tuned. All right, guys, welcome back. So the SQL Server Management Studio installation is completed. So most likely you will get a request to restart your machine to complete this installation. You can click on this restart, but I'm going to click on just simply say close. So it has been closed. And the next step is that we need to open the SQL Server Management Studio. So I'm going to search in the search bar. Here I'm looking for SQL Server Management Studio. So what I want is that I want to pin that. I mean, you can click and open it, or because we need to frequently access this. So I'm going to right click here and then I'm going to pin that to taskbar. Okay, you can see that that is here in the taskbar. So I'm going to click on the taskbar icon. So that's going to open my SQL Server Management Studio. And again, first time when you are opening SQL Server Management Studio, it takes a little bit time. All right. So you need to identify your instance. So if you know the instance and the machine name, you can type it here. But if you are new to SQL Server database, no need to worry. So use the drop down, and then you can see, you can see a lot of instances, because in my machine, I have a lot of instances. But in your case, you click on browse for more, and it is going to open a small window here. Expand the database engine, and underneath the database engine, you will see the instance you installed, which is prod 5000. Okay, so highlight that or click on it and click OK. And you can see that your machine name and the instance name automatically copied here. And then now you click on connect. If you couldn't able to connect to the instance you just installed, again, give me a call, or email me. We will investigate further. Okay. So the SQL Server Management Studio is now connected to your Prod 5000 instance. Now under the database, right now there's no database. One of the first thing we do in class number 2, second session, we are going to install a couple of large databases for training purpose. So that is something we will do in class. But other than that, your SQL Server 2019 installation is completed, and we have installed SQL Server Management Studio. So if you already installed previous versions of SQL Server 2017 or 2016 or even 2014, you don't need to uninstall it. You can have multiple versions of the SQL Server exist on the same machine at the same time. And we need those old versions because later in the training program, we will also be discussing how to upgrade your old version to 2019. So in that time, your old version of SQL Server is going to be handy. If you don't have an old version of SQL Server, let me know. I can send you the installation files for SQL 17 or even SQL 16. So let me know if you want to install an older version. But for the training program, well, this is you are good. You have the SQL Server 2019 and the most recent SQL Server Management Studio. So those who have already registered for my DBA TSQL training, I will see you in the class. Those who haven't registered, if you want to have these installation files, I have already mentioned that. I'm going to put, this is the location where you can download the installation file. I'm going to post that link under the YouTube video as well. So check it out and then you can download it there. Again, questions, this is how you can contact me. Once again, this is Daniel AG. And if you like this instruction video, please put some comments or like my video, and I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye bye.